Hi everybody, so today I'm going to be doing a wonderful little video on the closest castle to where I live, which is Tonbridge Castle. Not only is it the closest castle to where I live, but it's the castle that has a lot of memories for me because literally just up the road I went to college. So I spent a lot of my youth in this wonderful little part of Tonbridge and in the wonderful grounds. But yeah, look, here we go. This is Tonbridge Castle. Oh, and enjoy your history lesson. I'll see you on the other side. Tonbridge is a town in Kent, situated next to the River Medway, but its most famous landmark is that of its castle, so let's delve into its history. Following the Norman victory of the Battle of Hastings, William the Conqueror granted lands of Tonbridge to Richard Fitzgilbert, a Norman knight who had accompanied him during his invasion. The idea was that because the River Medway ran through Tonbridge, this made it strategically important, because the bridge itself was a crossing over the river that was part of the Hastings to London road. So to guard the crossing, Richard razed Tonbridge Castle, which started as a simple motte and bailey castle on the site. To do this, 50,000 tonnes of earth were moved to help dig the moat and erect the motte with a timber palisade on top. Originally, there were two baileys, one to the west which would have hosted the high status and residential buildings, whilst the northern bailey was occupied by ancillary buildings such as stables. The castle first saw bloodshed in 1088 when the De Clare family, descendants of the Fitzgilberts, rebelled against King William II. His army besieged the castle, but after holding for 2 days the castle fell, and as punishment the king had both the castle and the town of Tonbridge burnt to the ground. Before 1100, the De Clares replaced the wooden castle with a stone shell keep, and this would lay the foundations for a more imposing castle. Because of the castle being a key strategic castle in Kent, it would continue to see more bloodshed and anger when in 1215, the First Barons' War, it was attacked by King John's men, and again during the Second Barons' War in 1264 when Henry III took the castle, playing its part in the key historical events that would change England forever. Most of the castle that you see today really came from its substantial rebuild in 1259, and by 1295 a stone wall was built around the town. The castle's last real wartime action came in the English Civil War when in June 1643 a royalist force sallied up into the area from Sevenoaks against a parliamentary garrison that was installed at Tonbridge, all to no real avail. The castle's demise came in the 18th century when it was plundered for its stone, specifically to support modifications to the River Medway to make it navigable for ships. In World War II, the castle was briefly fortified as part of the Ironside Line, in which it would be used to slow down the German advance should they have invaded. What's left now has become a place for locals and tourists alike to enjoy and share in discovering the castle's long lost past, and is still, in my opinion, a truly beautiful Kent castle with an incredible history to match. So everybody, so we're going to look at now, we're in the wonderful gatehouse, which is probably the most iconic bit of Tonbridge, the bit that if you were to type it in on Google you'd see the images of this wonderful gatehouse, which is built a little bit later than you think. Obviously you found that out on a history lesson. Let's take a look, come on, let's have a look. So yeah, look at this. It says on the sign, it says Tonbridge Castle, it says a Norman stronghold, modern Bailey Castle, 11th century guardhouse, etc, etc. You can read all this. Yeah, look at this. There are lots of things that have happened here, like weddings, and then there was also, I think, colleges and that lot sometimes do their ceremonies here. But let's walk through it. Come on. Wonderful gate. And then look, welcome to Tonbridge, everybody. It's a bit of a joke for people who locally live here. But yeah, now we're in the grounds itself. Isn't it amazing? Look at this. Glorious day to pick, really. But yeah, let's check out some more stuff. I'll see you in a minute. So we're now standing at the city wall, or the main outer wall of the castle itself, which is pretty much the thing that you see that stands out a lot as you're leaving Tonbridge High Street. And what it's really well known for is, as you can probably hear in the background, these amazing pigeons that are there. But what's really interesting is obviously it gives you a great idea of the reason why this castle was built, which was to protect the Medway. Everybody, so we're standing by what is affectionately known as the water tower. The water tower would have stood here as a massive tower on one of the corner parts of the actual castle. The reason why it was called the water tower was quite simply because it was the tower that was close enough facing to the River Medway, which we can look at now. Hi everybody, so we are now in the wonderful courtyard of Tonbridge Castle, which is the place where I've probably spent most of my time, just chilling out on this little lovely bit of greenery, should we say. As you can see, whilst we're on top, you can see remaining bits of wall that's still here, just about. Obviously it is in shade and sun, so I do apologise. But you get an amazing view of the inside of this castle. You see the motte and Bailey design of the castle. It's absolutely fantastic. And then obviously, as you can see, these were the original buildings which are now being used for wedding services and other bits of information, which obviously you can come here and check out for yourselves. Because this is what we do, isn't it? We encourage you. Phoenix History is designed so for you to come here and check it out. And if you can't come here and check it out, hopefully I've given you enough information that you feel like, well, okay, I think I've learned a bit today. So it's kind of cool, really. You can hear the beautiful birds in the background. Hopefully you can hear them, it'll come out well. But what's really amazing about this is because if you're a lover of history and you're a lover of castles, especially, this is a great little design of a castle in terms of what its purpose and functionality were. And obviously you can imagine just the amount of history that used to be surrounding this beautiful place, and the actual fact of all these craftsmen and tradesmen, and the sound of the iron and the chains as they were being built, etc, etc, and the stone walls that were being built. Absolutely incredible. It's an amazing sort of bit of history that we can imagine, and a vital part of Kent's own history. Hi everybody, so we're about to ascend the motte for the castle. It's going to be quite fun, isn't it? You can normally shortcut it and you can just sort of walk straight up it. However, I'm going to do the classic zigzag walking up there just to get a bit more exercise in for my podgy little belly that I've got going on. But yeah, let's go up there, let's have a look, come on. Right, so we're up on my favourite part of Tonbridge Castle. In fact, probably my favourite part of Tonbridge, full stop. We're standing on the motte now, and this originally would have been, you probably heard it in history lesson, this would have really originally have been more famously as a shell keep, which obviously this huge, I mean you can see the brickwork around this huge sort of dominant structure in the landscape. It's almost like this tower, really thick walls. But originally before that it would have been an old-fashioned motte, so which would have been a wooden palisade, basically, the ones that would have traditionally been originally there. And then obviously over time you build it up using this. Most of this stonework apparently is, I think it would have been local to Kent anyway. Really interesting fact. But then look, this is the well. So if you have a look down, you might not be able to see anything, however. But yeah, and then this is the wonderful little pit that everybody has. When we were kids, we used to sort of converse over, like a sort of amphitheatre basically. Amazing really, but you get these beautiful views of Tonbridge, and like you get to see so much of like the actual, you start to appreciate Tonbridge for all its beauty, because I don't mind Tonbridge, like I said, you know, I'm local to the area. I love Tonbridge. It's got so much character and variety. Anybody think I'm doing like a tourist guide thing for Tonbridge? I'm not, I promise you. But how amazing is this? This is my favourite part of Tonbridge, full stop. Just brilliant, brilliant. Come on, let's keep walking. Love it. What you don't realise is when you're walking around here how high you are up in terms of how high the moat is. So let's try and get down. So even when you're down on the ground, you don't really appreciate how high you are up until you come and you look down, especially on this side. See this network of like slightly raised ditches that sort of congregate round in a sort of circular fashion, absolutely beautiful, and this tiny little sort of like secondary moated part to really sort of solidify this castle's sort of like grounds. It's absolutely amazing. And then obviously as a kid, remembering when this first was built, Tonbridge swimming pool, the outdoor swimming pool, how dodgy was that? Yeah, and then you can actually, I think that is, yeah, you can. Look, you can see my old college up in the distance. I think that's, yeah, it must be. Never even noticed. When we were kids, it was more of a summertime thing that we'd come here. So, and then we'd sort of like go head towards Tunbridge Wells, and then head towards Brighton. That was really what this place was really, for me, what the memories that I have of this. But like I said, we're talking about the castle, it's not about my memory. But isn't it amazing what history can do? It can conjure up your own personal memories and your own personal history as well. But yeah, there we go. The moat. The moat. Swear to God. Sorry everybody. You know that I have this thing about moats, moots and moats. Just very easy just to trip up. But yes, the moat. Motte and Bailey Castle. So, this is a part I just wanted to briefly talk about, although it's not necessarily important, but it's important to people who would like to visit it. Under different circumstances, when you are allowed to explore and visit and everything else, really the main gatehouse is really the thing that you can visit inside. Obviously we're not going to do that for today's video because one, we can't anyway because of lockdown, and second of all because, as I said to you before, it's worth you encouraging you to come down here. And not only that, when you go into the gatehouse you can stand on actually it would be the highest point of Tonbridge Castle really, which is right at the top, and I think you get an audio tour from what I remember. It was a very long time ago when I did it, but they've reconstructed it from the inside, which is great. So like I said, obviously if you do want to visit, please go, but that's the bit you're going to be seeing if you are a tourist or wanting to visit this place. But I thoroughly recommend you should do it. Really engulf yourself in the experience of Tonbridge Castle. Okay, so we're now at the flooded section of the castle, or the flooded moat. The idea was that, what you've got to imagine is that this whole water section would have actually stretched right the way around the castle, and there probably would have been a secondary sort of gated house, which would have almost had like a secondary drawbridge. The idea was that obviously that would have been the main entrance into the castle itself, and then this gatehouse would have been the big thing that would have greeted you when you entered. So it's kind of weird. You've got to imagine that, like I said, there would have been a secondary huge sort of walled tower that would have been there, in layman's terms, I'm trying to speak basically, and then obviously the actual moat would have gone right underneath. It's kind of hard to imagine now, but very interesting. I just wanted to quickly also show you this. Really what we've got to put in context is how thick these walls are, and this is a great part of the castle where you can actually see the actual structure of the castle, how it's laid out, how the actual formation of this actually was working, and how steep the actual part of the moat is. The moat is when obviously the wall is going right up the side of it. It's amazing really. Like I say, it's a beautiful bit of structure. if I actually, if I move and then you can see actually, you know. So each stone is roughly the height of about 2 hands. So if I put both my hands across, and it's about 2 hands wide as well. Adult hands, that is. But yeah, that gives you a great scale of how huge these stones were that built this wonderful castle. Everybody, so hopefully you enjoyed that wonderful little brief bit of history on Tonbridge Castle. Like I said, I didn't go excessively into it, but the idea is that you come here and make a memory for yourself, and if you can't, hopefully I've given you enough information. But yeah, this was Tonbridge Castle, my local castle. Have a fantastic day no matter what you're doing, and in more words of Phoenix history, because history matters, and I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye for now.